Hey, it's Nicole. Welcome back to the show. So excited to have you and to have our guest today. And if you're watching on video, you can see my friend Remy here, straight from Disney World. I just got back and I have a bit to share about Remy with my guest, John Prothro. He's an experienced executive. He has a background in mergers and acquisitions with international business, and he's currently the president and CEO of Foot Solutions, a global footwear and orthotics retailer. The man that I needed to talk to before heading to Disney. All 9 of us probably needed to talk to him. He's also the board chairman of DB Global Group and the largest contractors in Sydney, Australia. This guy has been all over the world. He holds degrees from Texas A&M and Vanderbilt University, where he was a baseball player. Native of Alabama, he now lives in Georgia with his wife and 4 kiddos.
Hey, if you're an entrepreneur who usually fast forwards intros just like this one, this is the podcast for you.
Serial entrepreneurs.
Hey, just a reminder, our show is brought to you by SmartCookie Media, where we believe data tells a story, and not just any story, your business story. As a subscriber to the show or as a client, you'll get insights on profitable, data-driven marketing strategies that work for you and your business, your industry. Not some cookie cutter trends, no. Ideas that are led by your customer data so you know they'll work for you. Connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram to learn more. Everything's in the show notes. Now, let's get back to the show. John, welcome to the show. So glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
How would you finish this sentence? You know you're an entrepreneur when?
You know you're an entrepreneur when you have a way to serve others and you're willing to take a chance on doing that.
Yeah. So what would you say it is that you do? I heard the businesses that you own currently, but what would you say it is that you do?
Well, that's a good question. I suppose I am a generalist that has a lot of experience in mergers and acquisitions. So in terms of what I do, I identify businesses that could be worth more money and try to get involved so that I can build shareholder value.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So what's your story? What led you to this? Maybe a specific moment or event, experience? How did you know this would be your life's work?
I didn't even know what I was going to do when I got out of college. When I finished graduate school, I found mergers and acquisitions and really loved that because my personality is I like to have my hands on a lot of things. And in M&A, you're meeting lots of business owners and you're seeing lots of companies and there's, real life case studies that you're going through. And I've always sort of learned by experience rather than putting my nose in a book, at least when it comes to business. And so doing M&A was really nice for me because there's hardly an industry that I haven't at least seen or been involved with. The way I got here was we were raising some money to build a portfolio of companies from guys that I had done work with in the past as an M&A advisor. I met the owner of Foot Solutions. He was about 80 years old, and I felt like it was a really good concept, and it had been around for 20 years, but it's sort of been cash cow to a certain extent, if you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, I do.
There wasn't a whole lot going on with it. The owner was just sort of collecting checks, and I thought, man, there's a big need for it. First of all, there's lots of foot pain and foot and knee and hip and back pain and balance issues that are related to foundational support. So I thought, well, this is a great idea. I don't know anything about franchising. I don't know anything about retail. So this should be fun. It's a lot of new stuff to learn. And I suppose that's probably how I got here because I like to do things outside the box that challenge me just because that gets me excited. It's just a personality thing, I suppose.
I see you. I know you. Our listeners are like, yep, we get it. We get it. So you saw something as like a cash cow, but you were wanting to see it as a rising star. You were like, there's so much more opportunity and potential here. Were you somebody who experienced foot pain yourself? Because I've got a couple of foot pains I'm going to share with you, and then I'm going to find my local Foot Solutions for sure today.
That is one of the reasons I was attracted to it, because at Vanderbilt, I had lived for 3 years with really, really bad shin splints to the extent that I was taking 6 Advil before practicing games every time I went out there. So really doing a great job on my body. And then like an idiot, I never went to the trainer, and I finally decided, well, I'm going to go ask the trainer. And he said, take off your shoes. And he looked at me and said, you've got flat feet. That's when you've got shin splints. Let me make you or get some custom orthotics made for you. So he took a mold of my feet, sent it off. I got custom orthotics. And I swear to you, I never had shin splints after that.
Wow.
Ever.
Wow.
It was such a major problem in my life. I mean, I was in so much pain all the time. And that's what we tell people, like, you don't have to live with foot pain. You can actually do something to solve this,
Yeah. What year was that, if I may date you just a little bit?
That was 2001 when I got custom orthotics.
Okay. So you knew that because me hearing for the first time, okay, they could be custom and I don't have to see a doctor. Because I'm always like, some doctor's going to tell me I've been walking on a broken foot and I really don't want to hear that. But maybe there's an option for me between hearing the worst news or something. So 2001. And then when did you become president of Foot Solutions or even just meet them? How many years was that?
That would have been February of 2020.
Okay. So yeah, a good big gap in between.
Yeah.
Did you wear orthotics outside of playing sports as well? Yeah.
When people say orthotics, they think, well, that's for old people, right? And they don't even know what it is. Matter of fact, one of my business partners was 10 years in the NFL. He said he had 3 pairs. He had one for games, one for practice, and one for his everyday shoes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it's a pretty common thing when you're talking about high performance athletes. It's also, I mean, most of our customers are older, and it's generally because that's when your feet start hurting. And then you go, oh, I got to go fix this. Like you said, if you went to your doctor, a lot of them will just refer you to Foot Solutions because a lot of podiatrists don't even do custom orthotics. They do more surgeries and procedures and that sort of thing.
Okay. I pictured my own family doctor being like, let's x-ray your foot. Okay, it's just arthritis. You're old. And then he'd like send me off. But I believe in orthotics. So quick story for everybody. My husband, I'm going to throw him in here as well. So Kyle is 6'6". He's very, very hard to shop for. He's not a big and tall guy. He is a tall guy. And it's been a challenge for 16 plus years of being together, finding clothes that fit him. However, the one thing that he does on his own, no problem, he doesn't need any help with, is he goes to the New Balance store and they have him walk around, or he just knows his number now, and he only wants them in solid black or whatever it is. And as somebody who used to commute into Chicago, so he'd have the drive, he'd be on the train, and then he'd walk. And then do that in reverse. He always wanted to make sure he had a good, stable shoe, whatever they told him. And that's what he would do. Well, I would go in there. And for some reason, New Balance, I didn't care for them. Anytime I try to run in them or work out in them, it just didn't work out for me. New Balance, looking for sponsors for the show. I'll figure out how to make them work if we need to. And
hey, you're plugging New Balance. Thanks for that.
No, don't worry. Don't worry. It never, ever worked out for me. I tried. And I'm not trying to dog them too badly. This is what I'm trying to say. One time she was like, maybe you just need orthotics for your everyday stuff. And I said, okay, I'll try those. And I did. I tried, John. I didn't do great.
Those would have been insoles. Those would have been
insoles. Yes, that's right. They were just insoles. Yes, thank you. They were just insoles. Fast forward, I can't say that they did something magical for me because I didn't have the baseball career you did. So I wasn't having the shin splints issue. But after I got pregnant with my 2 little guys, I noticed I would start having foot pain in the morning. And it only happened in the morning. And if you Google something, which I refuse to do, but if you Google something before you know it, you just... Yes. And so I thought, well, I'm going to stay away from that. I'm just going to put up with it. And then our family started to plan a Disney trip. And I thought, I better get on this. I better find the insole. I better find the right shoe. And my husband went back to New Balance and the kiddo got a New Balance. The little kiddo, his feet don't fit in New Balance. No go for him. Me, no, it doesn't work. And I found myself at another shoe store at Feet Fleet, right? Is it Feet First or Fleet? Anyway.
Fleet.
Yeah, that's why I like the name of your place. Foot Solutions just tells me what it is. It's going to solve my foot something. And those didn't work out for me either. But what I noticed is the power of having the right one and why I was excited to talk with you, because the wrong one that they put me in would instantly refer pain up to my knee. Just standing in them without a shoe on, I instantly could feel, wow, that's correcting or doing something, overcorrecting. Then when they did put them in, within 4 steps, I couldn't walk. I was like, no, my right knee is going to be blown. And I realized I did not have enough time to hunt you down because I knew our show was coming up after the trip. But I knew I needed to learn more about this whole Foot Solutions thing because we did walk like 25,000 steps every single day. But more and more, I realized how many other people are dealing with it all the time. And yeah, I have just assumed I just have to live with it at 40 plus.
Yeah, you do not. Great. This is probably where I'll lose like half the listeners. I'm not one of the experts, but I can tell you, first of all, there's a difference between over-the-counter insoles and truly custom orthotics. Foot Solutions are the most highly trained people at a retail setting, and by far, than anybody you'll ever go into. We do have more medical grade over-the-counter insoles, and we do sell them sometimes, but your feet are not exactly the same. We'll scan both your feet and we'll look at where the arch heights are, and you have more than one arch, by the way, which not most of the folks at those other retail places will know. And if an over-the-counter will solve, your issue, we can do an over-the-counter. It's no big deal. They need to be more medical grade, and it needs to be selected for you by somebody who knows what they're talking about. And the vast majority of people at a retail setting don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So they probably put you in the wrong one at the other store. But I would say New Balance is a good shoe, by the way. New Balance makes great shoes. We like Brooks a little bit more than New Balance at Foot Solutions. But
yeah, Brooks was the one I wanted to head to next.
But just going into a retailer and standing on a machine, that machine's going to tell you to buy what they have on the shelf, typically. Our machinery is meant for diagnostics, so to really see what's going on with you. A lot of times we'll build a truly custom orthotic, which is like a custom suit. If you go and buy something off the rack, it might fit nice, but it's not going to fit perfect. And of course, nothing's perfect, but we make 3D printed custom orthotics based off digital scan, an intake form that's pretty specific. Our people are very highly trained to watch what's going on with your feet, actually move your toes and see what's going on with your feet, and then fill out a long intake form with that scan, along with notes that goes to a design team that makes you a truly custom orthotic. And most of them are 3D printed. We're sort of way ahead of the game in terms of technology, in terms of 3D printing and how custom orthotics are made, because most of the time they're made with molds and things like that.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. That said, it is very good that you're paying attention to what your body is doing with different footwear, because your footwear and what's underneath your feet in particular is really the foundational health of your body. So when you're standing and you're saying, "Oh, I can feel pain in my knee," that's your body telling you, "Don't wear this," right? I have a pair of New Balance on right now. And if I wear the New Balance with the insole that they give me, my right knee hurts. When I put our custom orthotics in it, it feels perfect. Most people just get out of bed and they feel pain. And by the way, if you feel pain right out of bed, it's usually plantar fasciitis,
Okay. Okay.
which can definitely be alleviated with custom orthotic. Anyway, I'm passionate about a very boring subject. I have a friend who's like, "How do you introduce yourself?" I said, "Well, I'm the Genghis Khan of bunions." I'm very passionate about this because in the corporate stores and in the franchise stores, every day we're helping people stay happy on their feet. That's such a big deal.
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I helped write a tagline once with one of our marketing clients. He's a physical therapy doctor, and the tagline came together as "Move better, feel better."
Okay.
So that tagline was just really to say, like, if somebody can feel a little bit better, they might be a little happier at the stop sign crosswalk or opening a door or, being kind
Yeah.
to their in-laws, whatever it is. And if we can help people feel a little better, like actually in their physical body, one shoe at a time, literally one foot. It's not even a pair because you said they're different. So you may call it boring. I think it's pretty fascinating. Tell me a little bit about some of the entrepreneurs or the franchisees that you work with. What would you say has been making them a success this year, the past couple of years, as there's been a few pivots out there?
Yeah, well, we bought Foot Solutions a week before the first COVID death in the US.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So we were supporting franchisees, a lot of them who had to be closed for several weeks, if not months. Franchise we have that are successful are generally people who would have been successful doing anything. It's not like we have the magic wand where we can create superstars, but we do have some real superstar franchisees. They're excellent people. We get along great. Have you ever heard of Bear Capital Management? I don't know if you ever heard of
I
the
have.
rumor is in their HR policy, they have a like official no a-hole policy in their HR manual.
Yeah.
And we try to follow that rule. We're going to have to spend a lot of time with these people. Let's
Yeah.
make sure we invite folks in that we really enjoy. And that goes all the way from the corporate staff, all the way down to the people who we award franchises to. And I will say we're very picky about it. I think the previous ownership was typical of franchises, just sort of selling franchises to whoever wanted one. And we're not doing that
Yeah.
because you'll have a lot of folks dropping off, angry lawsuits. And I'm not from franchising, but the more I learn about it, I don't really like it.
Mm.
I like the way we do it. I like the way we collaborate and use organizational learning within the organization. And almost to the person, I'd say the franchisees generally feel like we're all on the same team.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
But getting to that point was a major thing. And I think culturally, I didn't expect it to be such a thing. But when we got here, there was a lot of angst and a lot of hurt feelings and a lot of anger towards the corporate, the franchisor, because, you buy into something, you expect to be supported. And now, having taken the seat of the franchisor, my heart really goes out to the folks who are franchisees and are entrepreneurs and like investing their life savings a lot of times into building out your brand. And so I take it very seriously and it's very personal for me. So you asked me to talk about them. I will get emotional sometimes. We went through COVID together. They have helped me understand the system, understand the brand, understand what we're all about. I was in Hickory, North Carolina with one of our franchisees just the other day. He's going to help us build out North Carolina for a new multi-unit investor, and he's gung-ho and excited. It's just a fun time and very rewarding to have franchisees like we have.
I love that. I don't mean to make light of this, but I bet it's because you all have custom orthotics. So you're already ahead of the game when it comes to business. You already have happier people to work with. Okay, I want to hear one of those stories though. So I believe that when leaders change, people can change, or they think that everything's going to change for them. So they start to change inside, whether it's real or not. They may feel they lost a leader before you, and then this new team was coming in. And so they could have the angst and worry that you talked about. They could be concerned about what it's going to be like to work with somebody new. There's probably always new ways of working with people. And then when you go through something so traumatic. So would you share with me some of the ways that you said, we were definitely going to do this, or it was time to retire that, and that maybe even the new owners or their family would be proud of you today?
Yeah, I don't really like the way franchisors double dip. So you buy into the franchise. Okay, great. You've put money into the pot. And then the franchise says, okay, now you got to buy a lot of product from us. And sometimes that product is not very good, but you still have to buy it from them. And so we've limited all the product that franchisees buy from us to stuff that's really sort of core and good. We manufacture the 3D printed, for instance, and they buy those from us. We want to build a household name as a brand. And in order to do that, we need to have more locations and we need to have happy franchisees. So we actually got rid of royalties last year and said, hey, instead of paying a 5% royalty and a 2% brand fund contribution, 2% doesn't get you anywhere in terms of building a brand. Why don't everybody put 5% into the brand fund? We'll use that to build the brand, get rid of the 2%, and then, we'll just work together to build out this system. So that was one thing we did. The other thing that we did, which the previous owners had not been able to do, is build out an e-com platform because COVID was such a thing. We didn't have e-com
Oh, wow.
after
Wow.
COVID hit.
Wow.
And of course, we had always had it sort of as a long-term plan, but it was like, well, we got to do e-com
That
fast.
accelerated. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things we did to just sort of demonstrate to the franchisees that we were on the same team is we brought in a software group to write the code so that whenever we sell something on e-com, the closest store with the inventory fulfills it and gets the revenue.
Oh,
We wanted to tell the franchisees, when we sell something online, you can get the benefit. We're not
yeah.
going to compete with you. In no way are we trying to compete with you. And I think they appreciated that. And then there were some people who just had sort of personal conflicts with the previous owners. And we just tried to be peacemakers and say, hey, what can we do to make this right? Some people we have asked to leave the system, to be honest. Some people have left on their own because they just weren't getting on board with working together.
Yeah.
We've got to have everybody rowing in the same direction. to bring it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. When was the company founded originally?
2000. So it was 20 years old when we bought it.
Okay. Okay. So who is a good fit that if they'd be like, okay, I can see myself here, I should explore some more?
In terms of attitude, I would say competence, professionalism, energy, and in terms of experience or aptitude. People who have a medical background is helpful. We have some nurses in the system. They always do very well because a lot of what we do is referral based. It's not like selling burgers. So if you sell a pair of custom orthotics to somebody, you might see them in 9 months, you might see them a year, you might not see them for 2 years. So you have to be cashed up and you have to have patient capital because you have to build your customer base for the first 2 or 3 years. You're not going to replace your 6-figure income by buying a Foot Solutions. That's the ugly part of it. The good part of it is that it's a very nice annuity after you've gotten it set up.
Yeah. So a lot of nurses have been burned out over the past couple of years. So are the nurses that are coming to you as owners, are they first-time entrepreneurs? Are they retiring and they're looking for essentially that annuity that you talk about and a hobby?
It's usually first-time entrepreneurs, and you're right, there's a lot of burnout. In fact, I talked to a nurse yesterday. Husband is an ER doctor. He's also burned out. There is quite a bit of burnout in the medical community. If you're a podiatrist, it's a nice add-on business because you're seeing people who need custom orthotics every day. When we have podiatrists near us, some of them will do their own customs, but for the most part, they say, go over to Foot Solutions. I've got engineers, I've got corporate business people, I've got all sorts of people, franchisees.
Awesome. Awesome. Talk to me about the last time that you may have found yourself distracted in business, that you felt like you weren't working on the thing you need to be working on. You even mentioned it being a generalist. I love that. It's such a polished way of saying I like my hands in a lot of things. Yeah. Squirrel. But maybe it led to your brightest idea, or maybe you found a way to retire it and put it off.
Well, I think in leadership, it's better to be a generalist. I mean, I say that as a generalist
I
because
agree.
there's a wider range of experience and outlooks that you can pull from to add some creativity to a business. And so if you ask me when was the last time I got distracted, I would say like 10 minutes ago, right?
Yes.
I'm a bird watcher and I have a big window right here by my office. And if a red-tailed hawk lands over there, I'm distracted,
Literally almost a squirrel. This is perfect.
Yeah. Let's see a hawk eat a squirrel. Now you're really talking about distracted.
Giant camera comes out. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I'm distracted by things that I think are helpful. I've gotten really into certain types of literature, and it's teaching me quite a bit about human nature.
Mhm.
And that, of course, is very important for EQ purposes. I have read a lot of management books and economics books. I used to read a lot of that and sort of try to specialize in being a business person. And so I got my hands on every single book I could find about business and economics and got into the Austrian economists pretty heavily. And then I realized now I'm a robot,
Yeah. Mhm.
and only about probably 5-10 years ago, through the influence of my brother, did I start reading fiction and realizing, oh, there's something to be learned here. In fact, quite a bit more to be learned here about being a good person, about understanding human nature and interacting with people on a deeper level. And I think it's better for business.
Tell me a book or two. That's something we can link in the show notes. Is there something that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, my favorite books are probably Witness. Have you ever heard of Whitaker Chambers and the Audrey His story? That's a good book. I'm going to lose all your audience now. I love the Russian authors. I love Dostoevsky. Tolstoy's War and Peace. I've read that one twice. It's a beautiful story. Beautiful story. There's a very good book called The Idiot that Dostoevsky wrote called The Idiot. Winston Churchill, there's a 3-book series called The Last Lion. That's not fiction, but it's a very inspiring book. Give you a lot of insight into courage and how to interact with difficulties. I could talk about this for quite a bit, so you might want to
Awesome.
stop.
That's okay. You mentioned your brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about him. How did he influence you for some of these books?
So my brother converted to Orthodox Christianity several years ago. He started reading Russian literature after that because it's Eastern Orthodox, Russian Orthodox. My older brother is a literal genius. He
Mhm.
would not want me bragging about him on this podcast, but he's a literal one of those guys like playing the violin when he was real
Yes.
little, acing all the tests and used to design smart bombs. He's a literal genius, but he's really been inspirational to me because he's a very deep thinker and looking at things from different angles and introducing me to books that I never would have read. The Idiot, that was one of the books he told me to read. I'm glad to have people in my life like my brother as well as my dad who, like to take things to a different level.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
I ask because this thing called business, it has so many different elements, right? Every day we might have our hand in lots of different things, but sometimes our why is also traced back to family. That usually family gives us a reason why we do the things we do or a reason why we do them the way that we do them. I grew up as an entrepreneur's kid. And my dad certainly is a big reason why I get to be here and serve other entrepreneurs. And so when you
Yeah.
mentioned brother, I had opened that door just to see what was on the other side. What did your family do growing up? I always say if kids can see it, they can be it. Did your dad do anything like the work that you do?
My dad was in IT support. He actually, when we were real little, which is not an inspiring story towards entrepreneurship, he and his best friend started a business and spent 5 years really struggling to get it really going. Of course, we didn't really know. We were just kind of little. And I mean, our parents weren't really showing us what was going on with it. He had to give up that dream and moved to Atlanta, stayed in Mobile, Alabama, grew up in Alabama with my older brother because he was in college down there. And I went to high school my senior year without my parents.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So that wasn't a real inspiring story, but at least he took the chance. I really admire that he took the chance and it didn't work out, but he took a shot.
Yeah, I took the shot and kept trying. So I still find some inspiration there. I think that a lot of people think that when they see a business owner at a certain level or doing a certain thing, which is why the show exists, is sometimes even the gurus forget to tell their early stories. They look back with rose-colored glasses or they say, "Oh, this is how it went," and they forget what it really took. So I still find inspiration because growing up with a parent that took their chance, took their shot, I think lends you a different lens for the rest of the world and maybe, built some confidence or gave you that same idea. You can take a chance. You can do it too.
Yeah. Yeah. And my dad, especially, was never a very conventional person in the way he thought. He's someone that has a very open mind just about everything. There's no topic that he won't go into to see if we're looking at it the wrong way,
Yeah.
or challenge what the assumptions are. My mom as well, she had her own way of doing things. The rest of the world
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
take a hike. I grew up in a very sort of safe place to do things differently.
Mhm.
I really appreciate that about them in my childhood because they just didn't do things the conventional way. And now I find myself not doing things, the conventional way.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and this is why I said, even though you felt like that 5-year story may not have been that inspirational, I think it is. Like, I think that that's the reason why your parents were probably totally open to you staying back with big brother who's in college during your senior year in high school. I mean, that's pretty wild today or even yesterday times. And I think when you get to live around somebody who thinks that way, it just shapes you in every way.
Hey there, busy movers and shakers. I get it. You're out there conquering the business world, hustling day in, day out. Well, guess what? We've got something to amplify your efforts, something that's about to make your entrepreneurial journey even more exciting. Introducing our podcast production services, your ticket to sharing your knowledge and stories without breaking a sweat. We know your time is gold. That's why our team of podcast pros will take the reins, handle all of the behind the scenes stuff. From brainstorming fun topics, introducing you to incredible guests, polishing up those episodes, repurposing your content so you can share among lots of platforms. We're here to turn your ideas into a podcast that's as easygoing as your favorite chat over coffee. Imagine establishing your expertise and your authority, making connections all across the globe in just minutes a month. And the fun doesn't end there. Our data-savvy approach gives you insights that will help you fine-tune your content and connect with your audience even better than before. So join forces with a crew that's as enthusiastic about your podcast as you are about your business, the SmartCookie Media crew. Let your voice resonate, your stories inspire, and your ideas spread like wildfire. Level up your personal brand through the magic of podcasting, whether you choose audio only or video too. Are you ready to dive into podcasting? Your journey to share your knowledge starts right here, because it's your voice, your podcast with our expertise. SmartCookie Media, turning your stories into conversations.
What are one of the key lessons you've learned as an entrepreneur, something that you find yourself saying again and again? Maybe it's a mantra.
I like to say we don't want to grow any faster than we can hire superstars. And every time I have ignored that or pushed that to the side or thought, this person can be a superstar, then it's burned me.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. What is your definition of entrepreneurial success?
I suppose it's cliche, but I want to grow a good, strong business and keep my soul intact.
Oh, I don't think that's cliche. I think that's beautiful. That really is great. Where's a good place for someone to connect with you?
We want people to know about the brand, and we want good franchisees to reach out to us, people who want to invest in the business. So go into footwear.com, all the way at the bottom, there's a franchising link. You can click there and you can see how we do franchising and get some testimonials and reach out to us if you want to.
Awesome. John, thank you so much for your time today. This is so helpful. And now I got to go figure out if I'm going to Fort Wayne or Granger.
Tell them I sent you. They'll feel good.
Oh, I will. Oh, I will. I will for sure.
Hey, it's Nicole, and that's the end of the interview. But stick around. This is the part I break it all down and give you takeaways. Listen in.
I really love chatting with someone who is a franchisor, right? The person that has corporate stores, has franchise owners, and really is the person that can say, you know what? It's our brand. We should make sure we're doing everything we can to build it. I thought it was really, really refreshing when they took over ownership, right? At the worst time, maybe in the history of the worst times, right? Right at the beginning of 2020. But he said, we were just going to focus on building the brand. And it sounds like they've really created a team of corporate stores and franchisees who are doing that because of the leadership that he and his team have set, right? They said, we're just going to put in a brand fee and we're just going to build this brand out. I am going to head over likely to the Granger store and check it out for myself, because if an owner can figure that out, if a president, CEO of a company can say, hey, it is our brand at the end of the day, what can we do to support those that are also going to benefit from doing so? I thought it was really, really powerful that there isn't this quote unquote double dip. The other takeaway is words. Words matter. And I like John's style for sure. He was calm, cool, and collected all the way through. But right at the beginning, he said he's a generalist. And as a serial entrepreneur, I think that's really the strength of a lot of us. He just said it in the most polished way, right? Generalist. He knows a lot of things. He wants his hands in a lot of different things because he knows how to find the opportunities and to make them really valuable. My third takeaway was when he said, hey, his dad's story may not be that inspiring. You know, friends, if you have a story that there's part of it that isn't that inspiring, I want to challenge you and say, nope, it's part of the story. It's part of the stepping stones that get you there. You know, maybe one of the stepping stones went underwater for a little bit, but did it get you across? Did it get you to the other side? Did it shape a strategy or something that you're doing? I have been no stranger to share with you. I've been fired a couple times, really, really great work that I was proud of, but I just wasn't the right fit for an organization, and then was able to realize what I really was a good fit for. And so I would encourage you that any parts of your story, or, you know, maybe your family's story that you think like, it's not that inspiring, I would encourage you to think of these words. Something I say to my mom, I am me because you are you. And I'm so grateful for that. For anybody that's listening, I want you to know I'm grateful for you too. Thanks so much for the stories that you share that only you can share. Talk to you soon.
You've been listening to the Serial Entrepreneur Show, produced by the team here at SmartCookie Media.